In a black cloak, street gospel, light of the temple. Sword swing, killer live from the ghetto. The hood messenger, let them know hell's close. Black burial, the devil in a black cloak.
Yo, what is up? Welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast. I'm your host, Dave One, and this is episode number... Cam, what episode is this? 19. Episode number 19. If you tuned in to the last episode, we had Steven Martinez, a great guy, jiu-jitsu coach, talked about entrepreneurship, talked about taking a stand when nobody else will. A solid guy. If you didn't listen to episode 18, I would recommend you listen to episode number 18. But we just want to thank everybody out there for subscribing. We've been picking up some more subscribers. We've been picking up some more plays, and we've been picking up some more views on YouTube. So we really appreciate that. If you guys could keep spreading the word about the Street Gospel Podcast, we'd really appreciate that. We're trying to just appeal to a broad audience, a very broad audience. So we're inviting everybody. But today, I got a guest. And, I got to play a little bit of music when I introduce this guest. I got to put it out there and just say, hey, this is somebody that I've known for a long time. Actually, my wife and her were homegirls, okay? Still to this day, homegirls. Through thick and thin, they grew up together. So I haven't had a female on the show, if you didn't know already. And so my wife was saying, you need to have Sylvia. And I thought about it. And I said, Sylvia, man. No, I'm just kidding. Oh. I said, Sylvia will be a good one. So we kind of were working out the schedule. Some things happened. And finally, we are able to have her on. She's a mother. She's a grandmother. Most of all, she's a believer. Right?
Yes.
She is an overcomer. So I want to welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast, Sylvia Avila. What is up?
Hey.
You finally made it.
I'm here. Yes.
I mean, that's good.
Yes.
It's good. I mean, we were trying to book you for a while, and we were a little, our schedules just wouldn't match. We were, I think, if I recall, you came down with the vid.
Yes.
Right?
I did. Yeah.
And then I think we never got tested, but our house came down with the vid, and then we had the rest of the holidays and everything else, and then we finally were able to make it happen. I had a few more guests lined up, but here we are in March.
Yes.
And we got you.
And here we are.
Right?
Yes.
So the whole thing with the podcast, to me, and every guest that I've had, is the story of coming up. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people think coming up like how we grew up. No, coming up like we came up, like, right? And where we come from, when we say that, it means like, oh, you came up. Like, oh, I got this free stuff today. I came up. Or, I got this job. They pay me X amount of dollars. I came up. So, right? It's like a hood thing for I got lucky or you right?
Yeah.
So when I think of the podcast, when I think of someone we know that came up, that overcame, I think about you. Right?
Yes.
Melissa was like, Sylvia. And I was thinking back to when we knew the old Sylvia. And I remember going to your house. We're just gonna get it out there, and taking groceries. And it's nothing that we brag about. We love you, love your family, do anything, right? But I remember we took groceries to your house because you didn't have no food, and I think at the time you had all your kids, right?
Yeah.
And we seen you at the lowest of lows and the highest of highs. And I think the cool thing about it is my wife and you grew up together, wild out a little bit, teenage years, right? Kind of went separate ways.
Yeah.
But you always stood friends.
Always.
Right?
Always.
I mean, that was the cool thing about it.
Yeah.
So, where did you grow up at? For those out there that don't know,
I grew up in Huntington Park.
that's southeast Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Pretty much.
southeast. You know, people, it's right there.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
Well, you know, being raised by a single mom, we kind of bounced around until she found our comfortable spot in Huntington Park.
Now I know your mom.
Yes.
I know your mom for a long time. Was your mom wild back in the day?
Oh my God.
Because
She's gonna get mad.
I mean this in a good thing, right? Because I just know your mom from church. You know, she used to hang around with my grandma, and very nice woman,
Yeah.
professional, spirit filled,
Yeah.
pray, read, sing.
Yes.
Oh, Sister Christine, like before that.
He's asking mom.
Sis, I'm asking. I know you
Yeah.
watch the show.
Yeah.
She watches the show.
Yeah, she does.
I've seen her like some of the stuff.
Yeah. You know, she has a testimony herself.
Yeah.
You know, we all do. And
Let's just say it wasn't easy in the early days.
No.
So
You know, she went out, she had her fun,
yeah.
you know, and we saw that. Her going out,
Right.
you know, doing her thing, but she always provided, always had a roof, and always worked.
Yeah.
That's what she showed us.
Right.
She showed us that working side, that she didn't need a man to provide or take care of her. But she also had that other side where she would go out,
Yeah.
you know.
Did she have you guys young?
You know what? She was in her 20s.
Okay. So
Like
she
mid-20s.
She was all right then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's you
Just me and Cindy.
and your twin sister.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know you guys are twins, right?
No.
You guys look very different.
Yes.
When I found out you guys I always thought you were the older sister.
Yeah.
Right?
Or people think we're cousins that don't know us.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Melissa goes, "No, they're twins."
Twins.
And I was
Yeah.
like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was always trip out on that.
Yeah.
So your mom, your sister,
Yes.
and it's just you guys.
Just us three.
No dad in the house.
No dad in the house.
Did you know your dad?
I knew of my dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was he around?
He wasn't around at all. Once, I think every 5, maybe 10 years, we would see him.
Wow.
'Cause, we would see my grandmother, his mother, more than him. He was always in prison. He was a heroin addict.
Oh wow.
So he was never, ever in the picture at all.
Yeah, because ever since I've known you guys, it's just been you, your sister, and your mom.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. So now Melissa tells me of wild days, right? When you guys hung out, ditching parties, doing all that thing. How did that start?
Well, we started going to Praise Chapel. My mom got saved like in 1983. I was like 10. My mom attended.
So your mom was a Christian before you got wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. She
See, I didn't know
actually,
that.
yeah, we were, like I said, 10. We were going to Good Shepherd in Huntington Park.
Okay.
So that's where my mom was at. At that time, my aunts were all at Praise Chapel.
Okay.
But we would go to Saturday Night Alive because our church didn't have that.
Okay.
So we're always at Saturday Night Alive.
So that was like a Saturday night service.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were there all the time, but we loved being there. But my mom had her church.
Okay.
And then, so I forgot how long after my aunts would tell her, just come, you guys are always here. You know, so my mom prayed about it.
And you guys made the switch.
And she made the switch to Praise Chapel. And then I walked in the first service. I don't know. I think it was Saturday Night Live, or I forgot what service. I walked in. I was 15 years old and praying it with my oldest son, Eddie. And that's when I first met Melissa and Gabby
At the church there.
at the church.
So you were already pregnant at 15?
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened there? I mean, 15 years old is
I know.
is pretty young.
That's really young.
So you were exposed to church early, and did you like church, but you kind of rebelled or fell in
Well,
love, or what happened there?
I knew, my mom, when she made a change for church, I already saw her lifestyle.
So you're a little exposed to that lifestyle.
Yes.
And that intrigued you.
Yes.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, that's how it should be. You know, so here we are.
Have your fun and then go to church?
Yes. So my mom didn't do that, but when she got saved, she got saved.
Yeah.
The first night she went, the pastor called her out and she gave her life to God. You know,
life changed.
Life changed from that instant.
But you, even at 10, you were kind of...
Not at 10, 11.
11?
Yeah.
You know what? I have to ask this question because I asked a lot of kids that grew up in church and that have come to the podcast. A lot of kids have said they never had, as a child or kid, an experience with Christ. It was always mom and dad dragging them to church. Is that your story, or is it different?
No.
So
I never encountered...
Oh, you didn't have no encounter?
No. I knew where we had to go, where we should have, you know, where we needed to be at that time, you know, at that age.
Yeah.
You know, always at church. Even when she was at Good Shepherd and made her change to Praise Chapel, I knew we were always there.
Yeah.
But I never encountered God at that young age.
Yeah, at a young age. That's weird to me. I mean, that's a trip because I did. I know Camo here. He did. I know the exact day.
Wow.
You know, and so it's. I asked Melissa that too. I go, did you have an encounter? Because she got a little wild, you know, in her teenage years too. And then I was like, did you? And she goes, no, I did. She goes, and that's what kept me.
Wow.
And she goes, because there would be something always telling me like, don't do that, or you know, pulling her back from the edge a little bit. So I always trip out on that. You know,
never had that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you get pregnant at 15. 15.
Yeah.
Are you scared?
I'm scared to tell my mom, to let her know.
What were you thinking? Like your mom gonna throw you out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And too scared because I didn't know what I was gonna expect. How, you know, I was, how can I say it? I guess just scared overall, you know, not knowing. 15 years old.
Yeah.
I thought I knew everything and I thought,
right.
You know, that's what they want. That's what these boys wanted. Or, you know?
Yeah.
And I gave that part away thinking it was the thing to do.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, was it around the people, you know, what, like you said, was it a thing to do? Was it around the culture, the friends, or whatever?
And
like,
I think at that time, a lot of girls at that time were getting pregnant at a young age.
Yeah.
I had a friend that was in junior high with her. She was only 14 or 13 or 14 when she was pregnant. She already going on her second one.
That's wild.
In junior high. You know, so I was like, oh my gosh. You know, so it was back then why it was just happening with a lot of young girls. You know, and just being a part of the, you know, you want to fit in, hanging around, and you know.
So how was it when you told your mother?
How did I tell her? Oh my gosh, 31 years ago. If I'm not mistaken, I think my sister kind of helped me and told my mom.
Oh,
before I can tell her.
You mean Cindy?
Yeah,
with the big mouth. She helped you,
David.
She helped you.
Yes.
Oh, I couldn't see her doing that to you. No, I'm just kidding, Cindy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it finally, when it came out.
And how did your mom take it?
Oh, she was upset.
Because she's a woman of God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And here's her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Gets pregnant at 15.
Yeah.
It's probably not what she planned on.
No. I'm sure that wasn't her plans for me. And nothing that she did wrong. It's just that's the choice I made. It happened. She was upset. You know, she didn't talk to me. I think it was like a week. She just kept her distance, stood to herself, you know, and it was kind of hard in the house being around her because I knew she was upset with me.
Sure.
This one, I think it was on a Saturday, if I can recall, she went out for the whole day. She just got up early in the morning, left, but then she came back and called me to the room. We talked, and she had this bag, a big bag full of things in there. And she goes, so we had our mother and daughter talk, you know.
Yeah.
And she just started pulling out all these baby clothes, you know, but they're all for a boy.
Right.
And I'm like, but you don't even know what I'm having. She goes, I just know I'm going to have my grandson. You
Wow.
know, and I love you, and I'm going to be here to support you, you know.
I mean, that's real.
Yeah.
Right? I think as a parent, it would be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Right? And then you kind of, you know that God's loved you. You know that you got to show that love back. And there's been a lot of grace and mercy on your life when you give your life to God and so your child comes and yeah, I'd probably be mad for about a good week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the end of the week, I don't know if I'd go buy clothes, but I'd probably,
I guess that was her way.
Yeah, that was probably her way.
That was her way. Yeah.
And were you with the father?
Yes.
And so that was pretty cool. Then he was around
At that time, yeah.
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 So you have a kid at 16?
16.
How was that?
Oh, it was hard. You know.
Because I see your mother being the mother, like, that's your child, you take care of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard because, like I said, 15, 16, what do you know? You don't really know until you're actually having a baby and the baby's here. You don't realize the sleep you lose. You know, you don't get to go out anywhere. You got to get a sit, like all those responsibilities.
So was that hard because your friends they're having fun?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, it all stopped.
I mean, your sister is probably having a blast, and you're in your with
home
with a kid. Did you have a boy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had a boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mom was right.
Yeah, she was. That's her baby.
Right.
Yep.
So, what's life like? I mean, it's just is the father around taking care of?
Well, yeah, he was there. Work, took care of him.
Was he older?
He was 18.
Oh, so he's a little bit older.
Yeah, he's a little bit older, 18. You know, I thought, I'm in love. We're gonna last forever. And I didn't even know what love was. You know, I just knew I was happy at that moment because I have a baby and my boyfriend with me.
Right.
You know, but at the same time, he was out doing his thing, you know, cheating on me. I didn't know. It took one of my relatives that saw him with someone else because I was always at home. I didn't graduate, finish school. I didn't go back to school. You know, I just stood home taking care of my son, Eddie. And one of my aunts saw him. So she came to tell me, and I didn't believe her. I was like, you're lying. You know, he wouldn't do that to me. Yeah. But, you know, so yeah, it was rough for me as a mom because then we separated when he was 8 months. So I had to get on assistance and, you know, take care of him myself.
And were you still living at your mom's house?
I was still living with my mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And my mom took care of him too, financially. You know, she helped. She worked and took care of me and my son.
What were you thinking ahead at that time? Were you just living day to day?
I was living day to day. I didn't put no thought into, you know, a future. Like, what Sylvia, what do you want for yourself?
Right.
Never thought anything like that. You know, I just thought having my son, and that was it. Not even setting goals for myself, even at that age.
I mean, because most 16-year-olds don't really set too many goals for themselves, right? They're just living for it. But you would think, like, I have a kid. I should think about the future a little bit. Yeah. You're not thinking that at all.
No. And I never had that from anyone tell me. Like, you know, what I know now, I sit and tell my children or others, you know.
Right.
But then I didn't have that, like, for someone to, like, hey, Sylvia, what do you see in the future? What is it you want? How can I help you? You know, do you want to go back to school? Or, you know what, you need to go back to school.
Or you can do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a big thing for kids that grow up in the neighborhood, right? I mean, they don't see past tomorrow. They don't see past the block. Nothing. It's just, and most of the time, it's really not their fault because there's nobody there to say, hey, there's more to this world. Yes, you made a mistake, but there's more. You can overcome this. I mean, does that weigh on you as a young single mother?
Yeah.
Just, what am I doing? Just living day to day.
That's it. I thought that's what life was. Just being here and being on welfare, getting free assistance, the food stamps, and just taking care of my son. I thought that's as good as it was going to get. Honestly, I did not think that there was more. And if it was there in front of me, I didn't see it.
Wow.
I didn't see it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Why do you think you went that route? I mean, is there a reason why you kind of just said, I mean, obviously, and not to knock anything, but obviously no father in the home. So were you looking for some sort of male love or acceptance, or was it just, hey, it just happened? Because you hear a lot of girls that say that. I'm not saying you say, if you don't think that, then it's fine. But I'm just trying to think where you were coming from at that time.
I honestly, I mean, of course, I wanted that father figure in my life. I didn't see my mom get that love from her husband. I saw her getting attention other ways, but not from her husband. So I didn't know how important that was at that time. I just thought sleeping around or being with someone just for that moment was
the thing to do.
Was the thing to do.
Yeah.
To feel loved or appreciated.
Yeah.
At that moment.
That's a heavy thing when especially for girls, to not have a father or somebody that can kind of guide them and help them. I'm not saying that every girl without a father that happens to, or even it happens to girls that have fathers that love them. But there's, I would say, the percentage of girls that don't have fathers look for some sort of love from a male figure, boyfriend, whoever, or any man, like you said, in the moment where you say, hey, I just need love.
Yeah. Some
sort of affection, right? Attention,
comfort,
right?
Something, because I wasn't getting that.
And let's be honest, there's a lot of cold-blooded dudes out there that will tell young girls whatever they want to hear to make them feel that way. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So you have little Eddie that's not so little. He's a big dude.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's still my baby.
Yeah. Little big Eddie.
Yeah.
But and you had another kid.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that child's from?
She has her own dad, a different dad.
Okay. That's Ashley, right?
Yes.
Your daughter Ashley.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the same.
Was it the same thing again?
Yeah, like the same thing. My son's dad, was cheating on me. So we finally accepted that part. It was hard I loved him. At that age, I knew. Now I look, I didn't even know what love was. But then at that time, I loved him, and it was hard to let him go.
So you were accepting the cheating?
Yeah.
And he can get away with anything he wants, pretty much.
Yeah. He would have me there, and she'll call, okay, you got to go because she's coming.
Wow.
At 16. Then I'm going on 17, and I meet Ashley's dad. One night, got the attention he gave me, one night, and I kid you not, I got pregnant from one time.
All right, now this is like a year after? The next 2 years after?
2 years after.
Are you really freaking out now?
Yes. Now I'm terrified to tell my mom because I'm still living with mom, 17, and I'm pregnant, but another, not Eddie's dad. It's another man in my life.
Right.
And now here I am, have to tell my mom,
Wow. So you end up with 2 kids.
2 kids, 2 different daddies.
Wow.
Yeah. At 17.
What is the shame like? I'm not trying to drag you on, but there had to be, obviously people have sex,
Yeah.
right? But to have to say, I had a one-nighter and I have another child, and now I'm 17, I have 2 baby daddies.
2 baby daddies. And that part, it took me a while to tell people. I didn't tell them. Just my close-knit family
Right.
knew.
I don't think I ever knew that. I remember Big Eddie.
Yeah.
When we were younger, but I thought honestly, Ashley, that was Ashley's dad.
No.
Wow.
And I didn't say it for a while because I was ashamed, embarrassed, and until after, she looks way different. She's real wet off, light looking. He's all dark. So everybody's like, oh, you look different.
She's medium size. Your son's super tall.
Different. And I'm like, oh, well, they have different dads,
Yeah.
So after I got to the point where, I'm going to tell them it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, any plans now? 2 kids.
Oh, my God.
Just.
Same thing. Got on welfare, added her to the welfare, Her dad didn't help me. He was a drug dealer. When I needed money, if I asked him, he would help me, when he could. But to support her fully, no. I wasn't working, not educated, not working. Didn't think I could hold a job or get a job. Who am I going to get to watch? Not just 1, but 2 now. I don't have money because I'm just on welfare. So
kind of you're stuck in a trap.
My sister has her kids, and then my mom works. So who do I get to watch my kids? So it was just no plans.
Same thing. Wow.
Same thing. Hanging out, drinking, of course. I had time for all that, but.
Are you starting to party again?
Yeah. After I had my daughter, yeah.
Do you now I know people party to have fun, right? Were you partying to have fun or partying to forget a lot of things?
At that time, it was to have fun. At that time, because I was still young, so it was just for the moment, having fun, having the girls come over, Gabby, Christina.
Oh, Gabby and Christina.
Tanya, Melissa. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
What a batch.
Yeah.
You know what I love about that?
My cousin Angie.
Oh, I love Angie.
Yes.
Angie's crazy, but I love Angie. If Angie's on your side, she's on your side forever, right? It's just, that's just the way she rolls, right? I'm sorry, everybody out there. We're reminiscing out here, okay?
Yeah.
We're reminiscing on the podcast, though. Yeah. But that crew of girls was a bunch of little badasses, I guess you could say, right?
Especially when we're all at church,
right?
We gave the ushers a hard time.
So so you guys are partying,
yeah,
right? Pretty much church kids,
yeah,
just rebelling, no plans,
yeah,
just having a good time,
yeah.
What are you thinking?
Not. I mean, pretty much everyone in that group. Not everyone. I think Angie had her kids. She had a couple kids already. I had mine. I think Gabby had her first one, if I'm not mistaken, or this was before her kids came. Just not thinking of anything, not wanting to do anything with myself at all.
Wow.
Because I would leave the kids at home and I would go out. I'd come home all hours of the night. My sister would watch them after she's watching her own kids. I would come home 6 a.m, and I wasn't doing hardcore drugs. I was just drinking, smoking a little bud, just having fun. Coming home, half drunk, trying to rock my daughter to sleep with one foot, and Eddie's right here waking up, patting him. Because I'm tired because I didn't get no sleep all night, So I was just...
Is your mom preaching to you, telling you anything?
All the time.
And what are you saying?
Just, okay, Mom, I know. I will. Sylvia, you can't be doing that. You got to, yeah. Got to go to church.
And the kids, they're just growing up like that.
Yeah.
Hadn't seen their mom like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I know.
How long did that last?
What do you mean?
Like, how long were you partying, being a mother, trying to balance that whole little thing right there?
Well, then I met Kenny. So it didn't last too long because that's how I met Kenny. You know, we're drinking party, you know.
How old are you now?
I'm actually 18. Like 19, 20. Right about 19. And I think that's when I got pregnant. Again.
So you had 3 kids by 19?
No. By, I want to say 20.
20.
20, 21.
And you're just...
And then another baby daddy.
And were you with Kenny? Did you stay with him?
Yeah. I still, you know what? Yeah, I stood with him. And when I found out, I was, oh my God. I was beyond myself when I found out I was pregnant, you know.
It was another surprise. So now you're 20 thinking like, I have 3.
3. But that wasn't the part. The part was another baby
somebody
daddy.
Somebody to take care of and another baby daddy.
Another baby daddy. Another baby daddy.
You got to explain that.
Yes. You know, and oh my gosh, I was like...
Was that a lot of shame for you?
Yes, worse than when I had my daughter. When I found out I was pregnant with her. It was worse, you know, and I thought, now I really got to stay with this guy, you know, because I'm not going to, no. I was afraid of what could happen if... Again, because I was out there.
Right.
I thought that was the thing to do. I thought, you know, I honestly wasn't thinking at all. It was just partying, enjoying the moment, you know? And I thought sleeping around was the thing to do, you know?
And living that life, I mean, when do you say like, okay, enough's enough? I mean, you just kept going?
Well, it did stop because between me and Kenny, we had 3 kids. We had 3 boys. So the partying stopped when I got pregnant.
So you got some stability there?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I didn't move forward in a job right away, but the partying stopped because it was like, I'm going on 4 kids. I think I was 22 or 23 when I had all 5.
So now you're ready to become a mother?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, so now it's taking care of my kids.
Which is still young.
Yeah.
To really say.
I have that many kids.
I have 4 kids. I'm going to have to settle down at 22 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild.
Yeah.
And is things good in the home?
You know, they're okay because we're not, you know, partying, doing any of that. We struggled, you know, in jobs. You know, we struggled in getting a home. We always lived with somebody, you know.
So just in life.
Yeah.
There's a struggle.
Like, yeah, big time. Bouncing around. Still, I'm not educated. You know, never worked. You know, I didn't start working till I actually had my 5th child. Is when I decided, I said, you know what, I gotta work. I gotta get out there. I don't know. I don't have experience. All I know is welfare and food stamps.
Wow.
That's all I knew. You know, my mom didn't raise me like that, but that's what I chose. I thought that's all I knew. That's all I have.
Do you think that at that time, like you're thinking that like this is the best life is gonna get?
I thought that then. I thought, man, this is it? You know, really? I thought, wow, this is what life's about. You know, in my moments, in my quiet time.
Yeah, because I could see that. Like you can tell yourself, like, well, I guess this is it.
Yeah. You
know, this is gonna be what it is, and I'm gonna have to live this life. Mm-hmm. That's huge. Yeah. I mean, because you get stuck in a trap there.
Yeah.
So I know you didn't stay with Kenny, right? I mean, I don't know what happened there. But where do you go?
Well, me and Kenny had, you know, our differences. I cheated. I worked.
What?
Things happened.
Why did you cheat? Were you going back to just those old feelings of affection and a need?
Finally we had our own place. We had we had our own house. Work. I was working. He would take care of the kids. Because we needed a sitter. There came a point in time where I was like, dude, I'm tired of working. I work a lot of hours. He had some insecurity with me going to work. So it was like, okay, well, I'll stay home. You watch the kids. You go to work and I'll stay home. We did that for a while. It was like kind of back and forth. He lost his job for whatever reason. So I had to get back out there. So I started working. And our marriage wasn't the marriage. I think it was more for convenience. We have 5 kids. Well, I have 5 kids, but we're making a family.
So you wanted to stay with him because you made yourself that promise. Like,
yeah,
okay, I need to stay with this guy.
Yeah. And I'm like 3 kids, 3 different fathers. We got to make this work. We did go to church. That's one thing. I love being at church. I would take my kids to church. We're always at church. But I still didn't know God. I haven't encountered him, even though I was there. Never encountered God.
So you were just kind of going to church as like a religious thing,
yeah.
or this is what we do, so we need to come.
To do.
But you never were touched by God and where he impacted your life or anything like that.
No. When I would see them raise their hands or them get baptized, I thought that was a thing to do. So every time we had a baptism, we go to the beach. I signed up. I want to get baptized. So
you didn't, no feeling, didn't know what it means, just doing it because
I did it.
I want to do that.
Yeah. When underwater came up, but because I saw everybody there, when they come out, I would do the same thing. In church, raising my hands, not even knowing what it really meant. Because I knew I raised my hand, I saw everybody doing it, and I would do the same thing, but didn't feel anything.
Wow.
Nothing. I had a Bible at home. I would try to read it. I'm like, I don't know. Put it aside.
I mean, most people would say like, oh yeah, well, it's fake, or religion is not real, or our God's not real. Look at she's telling us right now that she didn't feel anything when she went.
No.
What was that? Well,
I really don't know. I didn't.
You think you were just so blinded to everything that and kind of numb, or?
I would, and I thought about that as I was preparing for today, because how I feel today and what I felt, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm like, man, all these years in church, I never felt what I felt when I did encounter him. Never felt that. All the times at the altar, I knew I loved to be there. I knew I loved to hear the word. I loved certain preachers that were there. Oh, they're going to preach. I felt the word. Like I would hear it like, wow, but it didn't impact. I didn't feel anything.
Wow. And you just kept going.
I just kept going. I was in the choir. I love the choir. I love singing,
Well, but we'll save some time at the end of the podcast. You can bust out a little oldie or something like that, all right?
I don't have that kind of
some
voice.
Mary Wells,
no.
Okay? So you cheat on Kenny. Mm-hmm. And I love Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny's, I always
Mac
liked
10.
Kenny. He looks like Mac 10.
Yeah.
First day, I gave him a ride one day. We've been friends ever since. He was walking, said, you need a ride?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I go get it.
Yeah.
I gave him a ride to his neighborhood, I think. I was like, what am I doing over here?
Oh, my God.
But we always kept in contact. I always liked Kenny. But you leave. So does he leave you and that's it? Once that happens? And
well, in our marriage, it was because of that, but there was more to it that led to that choice that I made to cheat. It wasn't like I woke up one day, I'm going to go cheat on him. It was just our marriage was...
It was on the rocks for a while.
It was, yeah. There was nothing there. But I think really what kept us together was because the kids. you know. And I think on my part, more convenience because I had someone there to watch the kids while I went to work, you know, help take care of the kids because 5 kids.
5 kids. You want some time out from when you had to take a time out to go to work, right?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no
this
problem.
Is my free time. You want to stay home? Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going
no
to work.
Problem. Go to work. I'd rather work a 12-hour shift.
Yeah. Overtime.
Not that you don't love your kids, but if you have 5 kids, it's rough.
No, it's rough.
Right.
It was rough. Going just to market and knowing I have to take all 5 sometimes.
Oof.
You know, yeah, it was hard. It wasn't easy. But we made it work. We struggled a lot though. We had a lot of struggles. So we separated. We tried to come back, you know, put our marriage back, but one thing led to another as far as drugs. Drugs came in a big part in, not weed. I was introduced to like primos. Never naive to drugs. Very, very naive.
So wait, how are you naive to drugs growing up in the neighborhood?
Well, I never been around. If it was around me, I didn't know. All I knew was bud. That was
Just
my only
smoke weed
that's
and
it.
drink.
That's it. I would hear people talk about heroin, crack cocaine, like all this stuff, but I never even seen what these drugs look like.
So you were just somebody introduced you to primos.
Yes. You know, got introduced to it. And that primo, once someone gave me that, it took me. That was it. That's all I needed. That one primo, and it just took me.
How old are you?
Well, in my 20s, like 20. In my 20s, like 25.
So that's late, right? I mean, that's late to. I mean, most people are waking up at that time.
Yeah.
From early drug use,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When they hit 25, they're pretty much like,
I already tried all that.
I need to stop
or something.
this.
Yeah.
I got 5 kids.
Yeah.
At 25, you're starting it. I mean, you got your son's got to
of
be
all drugs that.
like your son's got to be like 8 years old already
Yeah.
now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're starting primo.
Primos, and you know that led one thing to another. So we try to base our marriage. We try to put our marriage back, but now I'm introduced to this drug, so now I feel the marriage is together, not because we want it. Now it's like it's a whole different. Now we're together on drugs, you know, like
Right. A different facet there.
Yeah, it wasn't like love put us back together. It wasn't like, oh, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna go to church. It was more
Camaraderie of drug use.
yeah. And then that led from just doing primos where I wanted it like every day. I thought it was like something
You thought it was bud?
just bud with a little more.
Yeah.
And that led to straight smoking crack.
Wow.
That moment. You know? So it went from bad to worse.
Did it go fast? Did it go fast? Bad to worse?
Like that. Just like that. I mean, I was a mess. You know, this is my testimony, so I'm sharing what happened to me.
Right.
You know, and what this drug caused me. You know.
How long were you on?
It wasn't that long. It was like months, but it was.
How does a drug like that? I mean, for people out there. I mean, obviously, there's probably people out there that, you know, want to try that drug. I mean, what does it do to you? I mean, what is the desire? What is it? Because I hear that the drug is only like a short time high.
It is, and you try to chase that high that you got that first time. It's like you're trying to chase it. You're never gonna have that effect.
That is crazy to me.
Never.
When people say that,
Never.
a lot of people come here and said that, and they said that first high is the greatest high.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to, and you'll never reach that high again.
No. Now you're just trying to chase that high. And that's what I felt with that primo was. And apparently I didn't smoke it right because the first time when it was given to me, I tried a few hits and I'm like, what is this? Man, I didn't want it. And I gave it back. I'm like, just roll me a joint. And then it was like, watch, I'm going to teach you how to smoke it so you'll know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, okay. Sure, that's all it took.
And how do you go to crack?
Because it was less weed, more the crack.
Man.
So, I'm not hip to this. I'm being honest. I'm just.
So you don't, there's a stigma in the neighborhood of just, crackhead. Mm-hmm. You're not thinking like, oh, that's the crackhead. I seen the crackhead over here. That's the crackhead in the neighborhood right there. I don't want to be like that. I'm a mother of 5. Like, you didn't think that at the time? You're just like, let's just get high?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Did you think you would get addicted that bad?
No. No, I didn't. I didn't know where that was going to take me. I didn't think primos, but I knew something was going on because I wanted a primo, like if I want someone to smoke cigarettes.
Oh.
That's how much I wanted a primo all the time. Give me another one. Give me another. I want another one. I want another one. I want another one.
Drugs cost money.
Mm-hmm.
You have 5 kids.
Yeah.
You can't have that much money. So how are you getting money for these drugs?
Well, I was working, then I lost my job. I don't even know how or what happened, but I know I was getting unemployment. So my unemployment, I was waiting for the mailman to come. As soon as the mailman came, got my check, cashed it, gone. Gone.
And your kids, are they eating?
Oh. That's one thing, because now my kids are at the age, my oldest kids.
So they can see what
they
know.
A lot. They saw Mom and Kenny and Eddie, my son, would tell me, even now, he knew what time it was when I would give them a booklet of food stamps to go to the store, send Eddie to the store. He knew, okay, they're going to be locked in that room.
Mm. And how long would you just leave them out there?
Oh, my God, David. Hours.
And the little ones had to be super
They would
little,
take
right?
care of them. Eddie and Ashley. There was a time, and they bring this up. We've talked about it, but it was part of my healing too, where it was one of those times. Eddie goes, I knew what time it was. I knew you guys were going to be locked in there. He goes, so I went to the store, got us all our goodies, our chips, their snacks, because that's what we would do. Here, go to the store and I would send Eddie to go to the store with all my kids, all the kids. He would get all their snacks. And we had this garage separated from the house. Eddie would go on top of the garage, and my daughter was in the bottom, picking up the kids. Oh. And they would sit on. That was their escape. Yeah. And he said, we would sit there for hours, just sitting there until you guys come out, or sometimes you guys didn't come out. We'll take them down, take them in the house.
On the roof?
From the roof.
Little kids?
My kids. Because I was that addicted to that stuff.
And at what point in time do you guys separate?
I want to say months after, because that was I want to say it lasted like 5 months, but it was like the 5 months of hell for me when I knew I can't do this. Like this drug, I can't. I've seen what it's doing to me.
Is your family telling you?
Oh, my mom knew something was going on. She goes, Sylvia, you're losing weight. You're doing something. I'm like, I'm not. I went to church one time, the mama church. I went crying. Ida, I was at the altar, so I knew where to go. And I knew I need to go to church. I have to go to church. I don't like I don't like me. I don't love me. I'm so broken right now. I went to church, and all I knew was to go to the altar. They did altar call. I didn't even know what the service was about, but I knew I went to that altar crying, because of what I was doing and what I was doing to my kids. Ida was going to take me home, and she took me out to go eat, and I wanted to tell her because she was like, sis, are you okay? But I heard, don't tell nobody, because you can't tell nobody that this is what you're doing.
Did you think that they'll take my kids away?
I don't know. It was just like embarrassing, shameful. Like, don't tell them it's that.
Yeah, the stigma of,
Yeah.
Crack.
Yeah. I'll be known as a crackhead. And I was, They would see me walking up and down, lost a lot of weight, and so I walked out. I knew I don't want this no more. I'm out of here. And I walked out on the marriage, walked out on everything. I couldn't do it because of that drug.
What gave you the strength to just walk out on the drug, on the marriage, and just say that's enough's enough?
Because I knew what was keeping us together. And it wasn't love. It wasn't the Lord. It wasn't nothing. It was just that. Without that, we didn't have nothing.
Wow.
We didn't have nothing. Because I woke up many times. Oh, I don't want to be here. But
was that driving you to go get more drugs?
And then here it comes. This is what I have. Oh, I'm gonna stay there. Let's get high.
When I watch like these shows, Intervention or whatever like that, the biggest thing on Intervention is they show you the person getting high. They show you them in the streets or whatever, or their life before. But there's always something that drove them to that. There's always something there's always a reason why they became alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever it was. There's always something that says this thing put me into that hole or kind of drove me. Was there anything that drove you just to do drugs? Because it's hard for me to comprehend 25-year-old mother saying, I want to do drugs now. Other than maybe the kids driving you crazy, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Well, that drug was introduced to me. So it wasn't like I went looking for that particular drug. It was introduced to me. Like I said, I've done smoked bud. Bud never stopped me until I got to a certain point in my life at my age. I got to get up and work. I can't just sit around, But I would smoke my bud. I would go to work. On my way to work, smoke a little bud, go inside work, come out for my break a little bit, just to feel good, go back to work. That's it. But it didn't cost me much, and I stood home. I did what I had to do.
So you were able to still function. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was someone introduced me to crack cocaine that took me on a spiral.
Man.
But I did it because try it. Just try it. And had I known that was going to happen, I wouldn't have took that drug. I wouldn't have took it. But I didn't smoke it right the first time where I didn't want it. Had it just been left that way, I wouldn't have tried it again because I didn't like it the first time.
Wow.
But because it's like, I'm going to bring some more and I'm going to teach you how. So when it was taught to me, that's the feeling. That's the feeling I didn't get yesterday. But now I like this feeling. There was no stopping it. And now I went crazy on it. I didn't go crazy sleeping around with men. No, I got crazy wanting that high. And I chased it because I'm like, I don't feel that same high. And then as soon as I felt it, it was gone and I wanted it again.
Wow.
So it wasn't that I was looking for that high. That high came to me. It was introduced to me.
There must be like a lot of regret of, I don't know if you experience it now, but a lot of regret of like, dang, like I took that, I didn't do it right the first time. If they didn't bring it back the next day, maybe this and this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you decide no more drugs.
Well, no more crack.
No more crack.
Mm-hmm. No more of that. And I didn't want that. So I move forward. I move on. Leave the marriage. I take my kids with me. We're living with my sister. Just smoking bud. That relaxed me. Soon as I walked away, I never went looking for crack. Never, because I didn't want it.
That alone must have been God. Because,
Yep.
People don't just say, today I'm not going to do crack, and that's it. After doing it for 5-6 months. 5 months,
yes. Yeah. Never. And there's this assumptions, she's out there getting it. Trust me when I'm saying never, ever went looking for that crack. Never went anywhere.
So once you were removed out of that environment, it was just
That was
like,
done.
that's it.
I was done. I just got my weed. That was it to relax me. You know, whatever. I didn't go back, but I'm still drinking. You know, I don't know how long after I got introduced to meth.
So this is the beginning stages of meth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is when it starts hitting. A lot of people know a lot of people that have done meth.
Yep.
I think were you on meth when we took the groceries to you? I think so, right? You weren't on meth then? Are you?
I don't remember.
I
Was I
think
with Kenny then?
No, you were living. I think you were living just you and the kids. I don't think Kenny was around. I think you were living on is it Mountain View? It was somewhere in Huntington Park.
On Plaska?
I think on Plaska.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
Because I remember Melissa was like, I feel bad for Sylvia.
Mm-hmm.
She has a kid. She has no food. I said, really? I said, well, let's just take her some food. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we took groceries. I think the kids were a little bit older now.
So, okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember, because I remember Eddie coming out and grabbing some bags. He had to be a early teen. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And so you're on meth.
Yeah.
How?
I got introduced to it. So I'm living with my sister. And her husband, I didn't know he was doing any of that. I wouldn't even have known that even at that time if somebody was on meth. I knew what crack looked like because I did it, you know, and I was just around a few people that would come to our house because they were on crack. So I knew, oh, okay, you know, but never was I. And if I was around someone on meth, I didn't even know if they were on it. But here I am living here, and my sister's husband's on it. Didn't know. And all it took was him say, you want a line? And I'm like, a line? Line of what? And he said, of glass. That's what he used. A line of glass. I'm like, glass? I'm like, well, is it like anything like the crack? You know? And he's like, no, it's different. He goes, this one you smash it and you just snort it.
It's worse.
Yeah.
He didn't say that.
No, he didn't say that.
He said, oh, it's different.
No.
Right?
Yeah, no. He was like, no, you'll feel good, this and that.
Oh, man.
I'm like, oh, I go, will I die? And then
I mean, it's worse, right?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I just asked, what would it make me do? What would it do? And he goes, well, you just got to try it to know. Oh, okay. You know, just give me a little bit, you know. So he did it in one line.
And you were done.
One line.
What was that high like compared to the crack high?
Different because this one lasted longer.
Oh, it was longer.
Longer. You know, got you more active, more, you know, a whole different feeling. Whole different.
So, how old are you now?
Well, still like 25.
Still young.
Yeah, still young, 26.
So-
Because it wasn't that, I mean, like I told you.
It wasn't that long from when you quit crack and then
But I wasn't on it that long either. It was
Yeah.
like months, but
Yeah.
it was, like I said, the worst months being on that long, you know, that was the worst ever that I experienced because I never did anything other than the bud.
Right.
So that was just like months, but long months.
man.
So it went from that and then it jumped to the meth.
How bad did the meth get in your life?
Oh, that got bad, really bad. The crack already did damage. This done more damage. With the crack, I had my kids. They saw, you know, they woke up to me. I went to bed with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was, you know, but now that I have meth, it took me to a whole different.
So you can't be on meth and be functioning mother,
employee.
employee.
No. In the beginning, I thought I could handle it because it's a whole different feeling. Like I can be around you when I first started doing it, and you wouldn't even have known because it wasn't noticeable, is what I thought at that time. Because
Right.
I was new.
Do you think it wasn't noticeable just to you, but people around you could tell that there
No.
was something different?
If someone knew of the drug, yes.
Yeah.
But the ones that were around really didn't know it. So they didn't know it.
Especially during that time, right? It was.
And I didn't do a lot. It's when I started doing more and more, then I was being more.
Right. And what's happening to your kids now that you're on meth?
Wow. Ooh. It was a mess. My kids, I sent mine and Kenny's 3. I send them with Kenny. I had my daughter and my son. I had Eddie and Ashley, and they went with my mom because the meth just took control.
So that was it.
That was it. It took.
How bad was your addiction to meth? I mean, are you spending tons of money on it every day? You need it so bad.
I just wanted that high, spending money. You know, I hear different testimonies, people's stories of being on meth, how they were surrounded by people and hung out. They did this. I listened to Carlos's testimony, you know, and I look back at mine, and my journey on meth took me a whole different route. Everyone see meth, it affects everybody in a whole different way.
Right.
Yeah, we're getting high, you know, but everyone has a different effect. But it started affecting me mentally. Huh. So the crowd that I did have, I lost because what the meth done in me and where it took me and how it took me as a woman. As a mom, I failed my kids because I chose meth over them. But now I'm talking as a woman, my values, the ones that I did have when I was with Kenny. But outside of the marriage, I thought I walked in shame, but it was worse with the meth because it took me on a whole different route.
Did it control your entire life?
Everything.
Just done.
Everything.
And are you thinking about your kids? Are you concerned, or is just the drug just clouds your mind?
The drug clouded my mind. I thought about my kids all the time because I'm really when I was away from them, or those days. Okay, so when I'm getting high, no, I'm not thinking about them.
Sure.
I was high.
Yeah.
But when I would come down, I honestly couldn't believe, wow, I went from crack. Now this is where I'm at. And my son Christian was only like 4 or 5. I wasn't even there with him when he started kindergarten, but I'm getting pictures or they're sending me, Christian started kindergarten today, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, my baby, I'm not with him, we had a family reunion. I got invited to go. I didn't go. It was a big family reunion, but my mom picked up my kids. My son Angel, got off. They thought I was going to be there. They see this lady. My son Angel saw this lady and runs to her and hugs her and says, Mom, because he thought it was me there.
Wow.
And I didn't know that. And then till the next day, they're telling me, Angel thought he saw you. I'm like, what do you mean? He ran to this lady and said, Mom. And she's like, oh my God, I'm not your mom, but I'll be here for right now.
Wow.
And she was comforting, my son. So I'm hearing all this, and what's sad is because, it hurt me, but it didn't change me.
The drug was way more powerful.
It took all of me. When those things, you hear it as a father, you hear it, man, what you wouldn't do for your kids. But this drug had me so bound. It had me bound where it was heavy.
What were you doing for drugs? Were you just, some people sell? Were you just, how bad did it get?
I did start selling so I can have dope for myself, you know, hung out with whoever had it. You know, I was around whoever had it. I had a boyfriend that, well, he had his addiction. You know, he did heroin and he did meth. So I was with him for like 5 years, but that's what kept us together. I never touched heroin, never did a heroin, but he always had meth too because that was part of his addiction. So since he had it, I had it, you know. So we weren't a good combination together because
just convenience of drugs.
Convenience of drugs. Yeah.
So you said 5 years you're with him. So are you're being on this drug for that long?
So, I got introduced to meth. I was, I want to get my age just right. 20, okay, from 26 or 7 and my whole 30s, I was on meth. So
Wow.
about 13 years.
Wow.
My whole 30s was on meth. My whole 30s.
Okay, I knew some of the time you were on meth. I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, my 30s.
Did you ever like stop for a little bit and try to get clean and then start again?
I stopped, you know, because I knew, I mean, it's not something that I wanted to do. It was just so hard to break that addiction, you know. I mean, I saw my kids, I would see them, you know. My mom never stopped me from seeing them. I stopped myself because I had an addiction, you know. And when I wanted to get some sleep or rest, I would go to my mom's. There was times I slept for a week.
Wow.
You know, like wake up, eat, and go back to sleep because I was on a long run, you know, and I would see my kids.
What are long runs?
Well, like, I guess a period of time that you do it.
You're
So,
just getting high
yeah,
for,
it could be a
days?
week, it could be 2, 3 weeks.
Are you awake?
Oh yeah, you're awake.
You just-
Your body's already after a certain point. You're getting tired, so you kind of let your body rest. You kind of eat, but then you do your drug again to kind of wake up. So you're not really going to sleep. So I would have pretty long runs sometimes, maybe a week. I think 2 weeks would be too long for me, but sometimes it'll be a week where I'm just awake. You know?
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And the kids, I mean, your mom's taking care of them. They're growing.
My mom has Eddie and Ashley.
Obviously, they keep growing up.
They're growing up. You know?
Are they starting to feel like some animosity?
Oh, Eddie. Yeah. My oldest son, he called me Still. He stopped calling me Mom. He always called me Still. My daughter, the other ones, the 3 that me and Kenny have, they were small, so they didn't see what Eddie and Ashley saw.
Because they were taking care of them.
They were taking care of them. Now, my 3 boys knew I wasn't around because I wasn't around, but they heard a lot about me. So things were being embedded in their mind, in their head about me, you know, versus my daughter. Now, she knew Mom wasn't doing good. She's old enough. She knows. But every time I would come, and I always had a backpack. I don't know why. You know, you see homeless people with backpacks. There's just something about people when they're on drugs, they carry this backpack.
You know what? I, not to make a joke about this, but I had a friend that says, you know, I ride bikes. So he's like, he tells me, I don't trust nobody on a beach cruiser and on a backpack. It's always bad news. They're always going to the parking lots and they're always bad news. And I thought about it and I was like, so one day, I know this is off the subject. One day, me and Melissa go riding our bikes. Yeah. And so I go, I'll just get a backpack and I'll put, you know, some water bottles and my keys in there. And I'm like, no.
You're like, I'm doing it.
I'll look like some dope fiend.
Oh my God. And that's usually where.
No offense to anybody out there with a backpack and a beach cruiser, right?
But that's, we do. I don't know what it is about a freaking backpack. And I always had a backpack. And I'll come to my mom's, and my son's like, oh, here's Sil with her backpack. He would make those comments, you know.
How old is he?
Then?
Yeah.
16.
Yeah, so he knows the game, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he knows what's going on.
Yeah. And he would be like, oh, Sil, how long today?
Ooh.
You know, he would throw those shots, and I took it because I felt, well, I deserve it, you know. I haven't been there for him, you know. My daughter now is a whole different, because when I would come, she would be excited. Mom, you're here. She never threw nothing in my face. She just loved me, hugged me. Eddie, distant, just like look and roll his eyes. My daughter was the one that was more loving. She would hug me, lay on me. I couldn't accept that. I didn't want her to do that. I didn't want, and not that I didn't want it. I didn't deserve that. And I knew I was going to hurt her.
Wow.
I knew what Eddie was saying was right. I knew that I was going to walk out. I knew that I was going to go back out and get high. You know? So when my daughter would do that, it would kill me inside. Because I was just going to hurt her.
Wow.
And that's why I would stay away. I didn't want to see them because I knew I was going to hurt my kids. And she would just love on me all the time. And then, well, however long I was going to stay, whether it was that day for that moment, you know, it could have been a week because I was tired. I just wanted to sleep. Well, who's best to go to? Then my mom's. I would go to sleep, eat, she'd feed me. But I get up and go, leave again on a mission. Just go, you know, and I would hear my kids say, yeah, once I saw that backpack on, I already knew you were gone. You weren't coming back, you know? Yeah, it was rough.
And that went on for years?
Yeah. 12, 13 years. It was just a pattern, you know, and then I would get clean because I was like, I don't want to do this no more. I want to get clean. You know, there's 2 times that I put myself in a woman's home. Because I knew what I needed. I needed help. I wasn't court ordered, anything. I knew I needed a home. I needed to get clean. I wanted to get clean. I called my mom, I want to go to home. You do? Yes. All right. We call some up. I called them. I found one. I just need her right there. Okay. We'll take you tomorrow.
I remember some of those times. And Melissa would be like, hey, Sylvia's in home. Mm-hmm. She's doing good.
Yeah.
And we'd be excited and happy for you. And then you would go back.
I would leave. You know.
Was the drug just calling you, or you just?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just, I knew what I wanted, but I knew it powered me. It had more power. There was times where, Melissa and Gabby, man. These girls. And there was times, Melissa, I would be so high. You know, with me and Gabby and Melissa, we always got together.
So Melissa's my wife.
Yeah.
Gabby's the homegirl too.
Yes. But these girls, like, they knew everything. You know, we would always keep in contact. We weren't the type of friends that called every day, stood on the phone all day, but we had that friendship, you know, where we pick up where we left off. Right. It was like, you know, nothing.
It's a bond.
Yes, the bond we have, the loyalty we have between us, our friendship. And so we always made it a point to get together. You know, it'll be once every 3 months just to catch up, talk, you know. And it'll be that time, and I'll be high. Like, I just took a hit, whatever. And Melissa starts calling me, and my phone's ringing. I'm like, oh, it's Melissa. Like, I was seriously, like, just, like, put it down, like, turn it around, like, if she could see me.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, my God, Melissa's calling me. Oh, my God. Okay, stop ringing. Stop ringing. And I'm like, okay, good. She was persistent. She called again. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, she's not stopping. She keeps calling. And I get a text, hey, girl, how are you? And I'm like, oh. Next day, I call her 2 days later, and I was telling her, girl, I was high. She was, girl, don't worry. I love you. You know, there's times when we go out, we'll plan a day to, you know, hang out. I'm like, okay, I'll get high before, chill a couple days before, so I can be right, you know. Well, it didn't happen. That's not how this stuff works, right. You know. And they'll call, hey, girl, I'm going to pick you up. Gabby and Melissa will pick me up. I'm like, girl, I can't go. I'm high. And they're like, so what? I can't go. Why? Because I'm high. I can't. We're going to pick you up.
Wow.
So they would pick me up. And, you know, we would be at the table. They wouldn't even focus on me being high. there was times I wouldn't even talk because I was so high. I felt so uncomfortable, but they never, ever made me feel uncomfortable. They never like, girl, why are you doing nothing?
They just loved you.
They just loved on me. They just loved on me. From the beginning till now, they just loved on me, you know, and I'm just so grateful for their friendship, you know, they didn't see that in me, you know. So them, and then having my daughter
loving on you too.
Yeah. You know, it was, especially in that time.
What was a low point for you in that time where you just said, man, look how far I've fallen?
Oh, you know, there's been many low points because there's been a few times where I wanted to commit suicide. I made one attempt. You know, had this ex-boyfriend, lived with them. He was on heroin, whatever. And I cried to him, you know, I want to stop. I can't do this drug no more. Please don't bring it home. He said, okay. He went to work. Next morning, he worked graveyard. He calls me. Are you up? No, I'm sleeping. Okay, I'm coming home, bringing something home. Okay, he comes home, and he has this little Ziploc, and he's like, "Look what I got you," you know,
wow.
Waving it around. And I looked at him like, "Why would you do that?" He goes, "Well, don't you want this?" And I'm like, "Well, I just told you last night I didn't want it, and you're bringing it." Wow. And I took it, you know, got all high, but that was his way of leaving. He would leave, come back full of hickeys, and that was his way of telling me, "Man, you're tripping. You did them. You just don't remember.
Wow.
You're that stupid when you're on that." I got a lot of mental abuse from this person. He hit me a couple times, but it was more, I think, the mental abuse that was more hard, because now I'm to a point where I deserved it because I'm just meth head, you know, worthless, failed as a mom, didn't have my kids, you know. So I tried to take my life a couple of days after that, because I wasn't good enough to be a daughter, to be a sister, to be a mother, most important. You know, I failed in so many ways. And that was just one of the lowest, because then I rose up. Thank God I didn't die, you know.
What did you try to do, overdose or?
I took some syrup, like had codeine in it. But I'm not talking about I took 2 teaspoons. I drank half the bottle because I was done. And I laid on the bed but I'm crying like I'm done. There's nothing I can do. I mean, this is the way life is going to be for me. You know, my kids are better off where they're at. They don't need someone like me. And as I'm laying there, and I could feel myself going deeper and deeper and deeper, like my body was feeling heavy. I kid you not, David, something just got me up. It wasn't me. I couldn't do it because that's it. I could feel myself. Something got me up where I literally crawled out of the bed. I literally crawled on the floor to the bathroom, and I hovered over the toilet bowl, and I just started crying. I was just crying. How I made it from there to there, I don't know. But because of that, kind of got me up, and I hovered over the toilet bowl, you know. But like I said, that was one of a few times that I wanted to kill myself because where this meth took me, you know. I've
thought about that, you know. We've known people that have taken their lives. And I always think you have to be very low to want to take your life. I mean, that point of saying, that's it, I'm done, is just, I don't think the average person like myself can really comprehend how low that is. I mean, we have bad days or bad experience, but the low of saying, hey, today's the day that I'm going to take my life. Mm-hmm. I don't think you really could comprehend that. You know, an average person could really comprehend that. They've never been through that.
No.
It's a scary thought.
It is. Oh, yeah, it is. You know, there was one time I was in the shower and I wanted to take my life, and it was the thoughts. Thinking the same thing. And just then my sister called that she was going to church, to a church, Victory Outreach. I forgot where it was at. And I told her, I got to go with you. And she goes, well, it's not Praise Chapel. I don't care. I need to go. I need to go. You don't know what we're just thinking. And she called at that moment. And she picked me up and we go. And I'm sitting way in the back. And I have meth on me. Even though I'm so broken and I knew I was crying out to, you know, just crying. I wanted to take my life. I had dope on me. Go to church. I'm in the back. Service is almost over. The pastor's wife's calling people out. And I'm just sitting there. And she says, you over there in the blue sweater. And I'm sitting. I'm like, okay, I have a blue sweater. So I kind of hide behind the person in front of me. I'm like going like this. And she goes, you the one that's going to... I need you to come up. And I kind of look like, me? She goes, you, come here. I went up. She goes, you know that God showed me you when you walked in. He showed me how damaged and broken you are. She started saying that to the point where you wanted to take your life.
Wow.
And I'm looking at her and I'm crying. And I had just felt hands all over me. People all over me, you know, and started praying for me. I didn't ask no questions. She just said, we just need to pray for you. And she, you know, they laid hands on me. But I wasn't done yet because I didn't let go of the dope. I wasn't done. Because something inside of me wanted to give it up and say, here. But I thought, but if I go home, I'm not going to have none. I'm at the call and get some more. Like, at that moment.
Wow.
Like, I knew what I wanted. I knew what was hurting me before I got there.
You knew what the answer was.
Yeah.
But it was so strong, the other side.
Yeah. And I didn't let it go.
Man.
I didn't let it go.
How long did you keep going?
I keep going. You know,
Kids keep growing.
Kids are growing up. So we're going on. Different relationship. Same thing. Heroin. Moved on from that relationship to another. I actually was with this one when I met my new one in downtown LA. So I went from one relationship to another relationship. You know? But this one didn't do meth, but he still did heroin. So it kept, you know, the partying didn't stop. So in between those times, you know, I did want to get right, you know, get my life together. Got an apartment, got my kids. They all came back with me. You know, oh, Mom got a place. All right. But the only difference was I wasn't serving God. I was on my own, fighting my own demons, my own thoughts, my own battles, my own temptation. Don't get high. Mind over matter. You could do it, Sil. I would say that every day because I wanted to get high. But I knew, man, I'm going to disappoint my kids. I'm going to disappoint them.
So you had a little bit of motivation with them around.
Yes. Yeah. You know, a one bedroom, but we all fit in there, you know. But the addiction was just so overpowered me. It just took one thought. And once I isolated myself from them thinking, I think I could do a line and I can handle it. Forget it.
Back again. You know, and that's just where, for those 10 years, you know, people walking out on me, leaving me. Because now, let me tell you, now the meth took over my mind. So it's no more me being out there, running amok, having fun, doing this. Now the meth is taking control over my mind where I'm tripping on thinking there's wires, tripping. I mean, I thought my boyfriend at the time was at work. I thought he went to work, but in my mind, he's at a motel. I'm at motels looking for him. Oh, man.
No one told me he was there, but that's where, you know, I had a good friend that we grew up in church together. I don't want to say her name, but we all grew up in church together. But me and her were best friends, like best friends. Somehow she started using meth too. She wasn't introduced to it by me, but somebody introduced it to her. So now she's getting high. We're both getting high, you know.
How does that play a role when you have a partner I mean, I always hear of crime partners, but drug partners. I mean, it really just makes it like double the problem, right?
Oh, yeah. It was. And ours, this was hard because, like I said, it affects people different. So the way it affected me wasn't affecting her that way. She was that active and outgoing, talking. The meth already it got my mind.
You already had been doing it for years.
Yeah. And then I was snorting it for a long time, for a few years, until I was introduced to smoking it. Not by my choice, but because it was once again introduced to me.
Wow.
This is how you do it. I don't know. I don't want to do it like that. I heard it's bad. No, just try it. You know, girl, it's a whole different feeling. That alone right there, the smoking part.
Another level.
Different from snorting. Another level. You know, and so, you know, it didn't work for me and her, because now, like, where this drug's taking my mind, I was someone that you didn't want to be around, because it would make me trip. I would trip on anyone who's in the room. If I felt you're making fun of me or anything, I would get up and walk, and then I would walk 2 or 3 hours to get home, because my mind was tripping. I couldn't enjoy the drug like I thought I was enjoying it even then. It wasn't affecting me the same no more.
It wasn't fun no more.
No,
it wasn't
not to my mind.
Yeah.
No, not at all. The first hit, it would take me.
So when we see those people in the streets, right, that are just have lost it,
Yeah.
that are just that far gone,
Yeah.
were you borderline to being that person?
Yes. Honestly, if I didn't stop when I stopped, I think I was a few highs from getting to that point where getting stuck there.
A few highs.
Yeah.
So that's
I was
weeks away.
Yes,
from
because
being...
yes, and I'm honest, because I would call I wouldn't even use the phone in my house. I would call my sister from a payphone, and I'm talking to her, but I'm whispering.
Oof.
At 2 a.m, 3 a.m. So she knew what time it was, and I was calling at that time. I was tripping, like, oh my God, I was ugly, you know. And that's what happened with my best friend. We all hung out together, Melissa, all of us. But this one best friend, we started getting high together. You know, it happened. It affected my mind, and she was all I had, honestly, because other than her, I had nobody. I had my kids. I didn't have my mom. I mean, I had my mom, but my mom was upset. She didn't want me around.
Are you burning people? I mean, we hear a lot of stories about people on drugs that burn people.
Well, not burning them, like stealing from them, but I burned my bridges because I had nowhere to go.
That was it.
I was like,
yeah,
being here and there. I bounced around. I was everywhere.
And then people were probably tired of you're doing good, or thinking you're doing good, right? And then just
then I go right back,
bail on you and say, you know what, I just can't do it.
Yep. And that's how it was. And because of where this drug took my mind, on top of the mental abuse that I was getting from my ex-boyfriend and from his mother, they would mentally abuse me. And so I really felt alone, you know, and I told, you know, she was my best friend at the time, like, girl, it's okay, don't worry, you got me. Well, it came to a point where she came one day and I thought we were going to get high. And she comes in and she's sitting, and I'm waiting for her to pop out, like, where's the stuff? Right. And she goes, girl, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, well, what's up? What's going on? And she goes, I just need to tell you that I can't be your friend no more. Like, I can't come around you. And I'm like, why? She goes, girl, you trip too much when you get high. Like, you're not the same person. And I told her, so what are you saying? And she goes, I can't, like, from right now, from this, I'm not coming back no more. You trip too much for me, and I can't handle it. You know. So you didn't even realize that. No. And I told her, I remember the last words I told her, I go, but you're all I have. I don't have nobody. Even the men that were in my life, because let me tell you, I wasn't just with this guy. He was there because I lived with him. But I I did my thing, but I didn't have them because most of those men were married. So they had their family. I was just.
What were you looking for with men? I mean, I asked that respectfully.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you had a lot of men. You're still trying to fill some sort of emptiness?
Yeah. I just wanted to be loved, I know I was a good person, but none of them were going to see it because I was so high. I wasn't that woman that you wanted to take home to meet your mother, of course, But I knew inside, without this drug, and I would tell them, if you only knew me outside of this drug, I am a good person, but you just can't see her right now, because you see different. So I wasn't good enough, and I just felt, and I'm not bragging that I dated married men. I just felt like they didn't lie to me. They didn't cheat on me.
You knew exactly where you were getting, and they knew exactly what they were getting.
Yeah, because I always gotten cheated on and hurt, the men that I chose after my marriage. You reap what you sow, So right. It happened to me many times, and I didn't want that. When I saw that they were lying to me to be with someone else, I'm like, then I want to be the other one. I want to be the other one.
Wow.
Because I'm not going to be, at least I'm going to go home and not have to worry, is my man cheating? Is he with this person, that person? No, because I'm going to be that one that they're going to be cheating with. And he ain't going to hurt me. So my guard went up. I had my guards up. I didn't love no one. I mean, I definitely couldn't love no one if I couldn't give that love to my kids. So I'm not going to love you.
Wow.
But, and I just, that's the value I saw in me. I didn't have that value. So even though I would say, oh, I came home, they're not hurting me, I was still hurting because I was alone. I didn't have nobody. That drug filled that void,
And just for a short period, right?
Yeah.
So your best friend leaves.
She walks out, and I told her, "You're all I have." And she's like, "I'm sorry, girl, I gotta go." Wow. And she walked out, and I'm like, "Here I am." Alone. I was always alone. I didn't have nobody at that time because it got so bad. I had nobody. I didn't call on God because I didn't think God was there. Even though I was raised in church, I was alone, and the people that I thought should have stood didn't stay. They all walked out on me. Made fun of me when I was high. It was the drug. It wasn't me. That's where the drug took me. Had I known.
What was the breaking point? Where you just that was it?
2013. It was Mother's Day. I was homeless. I've been homeless. So all these years, I had a boyfriend and I got homeless. I was always homeless. 2013, it was Mother's Day. My daughter had just moved back from New Mexico, her and her husband and my grandkids. So they were staying in a motel in Maywood on Atlantic. I was homeless. So they were looking for an apartment. They had nowhere to live, stay at the time. So they were there. My daughter said, "Mom, well, come stay with us." Okay, so me and my son Christian. Now I have my son Christian with me. And it was Mother's Day. Nobody was there. I was in the room. And I was still getting high. Because I told my daughter, I'm not going to get high no more. But I'm in the Maywood Motel. It's all around me. And you want it, you're going to get it. And I did, And, well, I didn't have none of my kids. Nobody called me for Mother's Day. I mean, why would they, And that day I sat and I wrote a letter. And I titled it, "The Love from a Failing Mother," something like that. I titled this letter on Mother's Day. And I wrote this letter to my kids, each one, how I hurt them. Just writing it, not knowing what was taking place. I didn't know what God's plan was already. But I'm writing this letter to my kids, talking, apologizing to each one. Ashley, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Eddie, Isaac, Angel, Christian, close the book. It's my time. My daughter's going to be leaving now. A couple of days later, she tells me, "You know what, Mom?" And it was the hardest thing for her to do because they wanted me to leave. They're like, "Mom, we can't help you no more. We found a place, can't take you." And I'm like, "Well, what am I going to do? What about me?" She's like, "I'm sorry, but we can't." She already had done the research. And she said, well, my mom already moved. She's already in San Jacinto and Hemet. She's like, "I'm out. Leaving you guys. You guys can't handle you no more." So she left. And my daughters found, she goes, "There's this shelter in Hemet. It's close to Nana. At least you know someone out there." And I'm like, "In Hemet?" She goes, "Yeah. You're going to call tomorrow and get some information." Okay. I called them. It was Friday. They said, "Be here Monday. We'll do an intake and we'll let you know." So I'm telling my son, like I've always done, a pattern, go with your dad. I'm going to, go to this shelter. He goes, "Nope." And I'm like, "What do you mean no?" He goes, "Nope, I'm not going with my dad. I'm going with you." I'm like, "With me?" I'm like, "But they may not take me. I don't care. I'm going with you. And if they don't take you, guess what? We're both going to be homeless together. I don't know, Mom, what it is you're going to do or what you need to do, but you need to get your life together."
Wow.
And I'm going to be right there with you. And at that time, he was 15. Okay, if that's what you want. So fast forward, Monday. Now I'm already looking to see, because that's a long way to get into Hemet. I'm sure you've been there. You go through Gilman's. It's a country road.
No joke.
Man, they took me in the nighttime. I couldn't even see, and I'm thinking, man, how am I going to leave?
Right.
I'm used to doing that. So I'm looking for an escape plan. Like, how am I going to get out of here? But once you're off the 60 and going, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know.
Yeah, you ain't walking nowhere.
No. No way.
Get eaten by coyotes or something.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's sad, but that was going through my mind, trying to get my way out, We get there, we go. Mom's upset. My mom, I love her, but she's mad, with the choices I made. Doesn't want me at her house. She didn't want me in the house.
Which is understandable,
no,
right?
I get it. Tough love.
We're talking like a decade.
Yeah. So I get that, But she gave in because I was sleeping in the car. She's like, "Tell her to come in. She better leave tomorrow."
In that voice.
Oh, yeah. I love you, Mom.
The deep voice that she has, yes.
So I go to the shelter. The lady does the intake, and she's telling me all the rooms are filled, all this, and I'm like, okay. She goes, that was what she said, and she pauses for a minute. She's quiet. She goes, "I don't know what it is about you, but I cannot let you go. I need to help you." Now, my son Christian's sitting next to me, and we look at each other, and I'm like, okay. And she's like, "Wait out in the front for me. I got to figure some things out." I sit there and I told my son, "Wow, that's crazy." Not knowing that it's God.
Yeah.
Not knowing nothing. It's not even a thought in my head. I'm just like, oh, okay, we're lucky.
Right.
It's luck. She comes back and she's like, "You know what? I have a storage room. It's filled with furniture for the rooms. I need you to give me 3 days to clear out that storage room. And I'm going to put beds to your guys, fix it up for you. But I need 3 days." I'm like, oh my gosh.
So 3 days to a drug addict is like eternity, right?
It is because now I'm thinking, now it's like when I didn't.
Who do I know out here in Handmaids?
Who am I going to stay with? I didn't think about that, David, when I was on the drug. I didn't care where I slept. But now it's a whole different.
Right.
It's different.
Right.
And I'm not realizing that then. But now I'm like, where am I going to go? So my mom. Well, my mom just said, make sure she leaves. Well, how do I tell my mom? So I asked the lady, can you write a letter? My mom needs proof, you know,
Right.
so she can believe me.
Right.
That in 3 days.
Can we get it notarized?
Yeah.
She's not going to believe me.
For my mom, yes. I
Right.
was like, you know, so I called my mom, you know, I told her, and she's still quiet. She's like, are you sure, Mom? 3 days, that's all I need. All right. 3 days came and gone. Back at the shelter. That day, it hit. Well, because the shelter we're at, they feed not only us, the residents that live there, but the homeless people. So they come in from the street.
So you're seeing the homeless people.
Yeah. Homeless, yes. I know.
And
I'm homeless.
No, and you're thinking, that's not me?
Well,
And then you realize, that is me?
that is me. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And not only that, but my son has seen it. For the first time through all these years, David, I never saw anything. But mind you, I went in high because I'm like, I'm going to get high before I come to this place. So I'm working on being high, but I had those 3 days. So now I'm a whole different. But now I'm seeing all this in a whole different perspective.
Right.
How that unveiled like that, I don't know. But now I'm looking and it's killing me inside because it's not only me, I have my son. Someone that I failed so many years, but the son that didn't want to leave my side and said, I don't care what you're gonna do, but I'm by your side. When I've lost so many people in those 13 years, they all were people that I thought should have stood, walked out on me. I know I walked out on my kids, but this boy did not want to walk out. He was like, no, you're going to do what you have to do. And I don't care what it is, but we're going to do this together.
Wow.
So I'm seeing that, and we're in this place with all these homeless people, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, reality's kicking in now.
Yeah.
When it was so foggy and dark for so many years.
It's weird how that happens because
Yes.
when I remember my dad had a homeboy, and he's a pastor now. But the story is, and this pastor has told me this story multiple times. They grew up together. They were homeboys. My dad changes his life. God changed his life, and my dad tells him, this is his story, the pastor's story. My dad tells him, look at yourself. He was messed up on drugs. He was bad, horrible, lost everything. And my dad goes, look at yourself. Have you looked at yourself? Look in the mirror, man. And my dad just was done with him. Tried to talk to him, pray for him, invite him to church, nothing. My dad just got fed up with his good friend and said, just look at yourself. Look in the mirror. And that pastor told me that he went home and he looked at himself, and he just realized, like, at that point in time, like, I'm jacked up. Like, this is, he said it never set in to him how messed up he was and how much he lost and the drugs and everything that messed him up until he looked in the mirror.
Wow.
And it just kicked in.
It hit him.
It's like the same thing.
Yeah. It's unbelievable for that to take place. And even then at that time, I didn't realize, like, now I look back like, oh my gosh, that veil was removed and I didn't even know. But I knew what I felt, and I saw, and my heart broke for my son, because my son, I mean, these are homeless people that smelled everything. They were sitting across from us at a different table, and he's looking, he's mad. Now, this sweet, innocent little boy that was next to me was full of anger. Like, we're here because of you. Like, I could see it on his face, and I was so broken, like, oh my God, I can't believe I've done this to my son, you know? We didn't even eat. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is where we're at. We go to the room, our room. He's laying there, his legs shaking. He's mad, but he has tears. I'm not saying a word to him because I'm broken inside now. And I'm not saying nothing. I couldn't wait till he fell asleep. I kept checking on him. He was awake. I mean, he was awake. And then I kept waiting for him to go to sleep. And then when I finally saw that he was asleep, I hit that floor. I got on my knees.
Wow.
Got on my knees, what I knew to do. And I just cried out to God. I was like, Lord, I need you. I know of you. And I know who you are. But I need you to show me who you are. I need you to help me. And I need you to guide me. I need you. And from that moment, like in an instant, something just took over. I encountered what I've never encountered. All them years being in church, all them years going even little with my mom, never encountered what I felt that night on June 2013. And I've never, ever been the same from that moment.
Wow.
I've from that time till now, I know now what I've longed for so many years, searching and wanting to be loved, wanting a friend, wanting a husband or to love me, you know? I found that in one person. And I never thought that's who God was. Never imagined him being all what I desired in one. Never turned his back on me, you know. Ever since then, I've never been the same. Never been the same. But what God done for me and my son in that shelter, my son was a witness to what God did in his mom's life.
Wow. That's powerful. That's a powerful story of just, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, you finally had an encounter.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about that is, like you said, he was always there. It was always what you were looking for and trying to fill the void with drugs, relationships, whatever it may have been. And God was like right there,
the whole time,
still waiting for you the whole time.
When my friend walked out and said, and I told her, "You're all I have," not realizing God was there.
Do you think that God had to get you that low?
Yeah.
For you to finally say,
yeah,
okay, you're right. You're the only person I have.
I did that for. I've never felt that. I've gotten on my knees before at the altar, but I had to go to that place because from man to man searching, from friendships and people walking out, leaving me, you know, I had to endure all that in order to really know where when I cried on God, the only one that got me out of that pit, out of that destruction, you know, took that desire. I got high Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here we are Wednesday in the shelter. In an instant, the desires of meth were like, it's like if I never touched that.
Done.
Drug. Yeah. Like I've never touched crack cocaine. Like I never knew what a primo was.
Wow.
Nothing. I didn't desire anything from that point on. Nothing. And I even thought on the drive there, I was like, man, how am I going to let go of meth? Like, that's all I've known all these 14, 13 years. But not realizing God's plan. And I believe it took that day when I wrote that letter in that motel. Because I said a lot of things. And I could have been writing it to God. You know, like pouring out my heart. And I knew, God knew she's ready.
Right.
She's ready. All them times I wasn't ready. But I was ready because that Mother's Day, nobody called me. And I get it. Wasn't worth that. I wasn't worthy of that phone call.
That was a low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man. So where is Sylvia at now?
Whew.
I mean, this is a story of overcoming. The street gospel is overcoming. It's overcoming addiction or overcoming things in your life are just the story of coming up, whether it's through business, whatever. But where are you at now?
Well, I live in San Jacinto now. I'm back at Freedom House, where it first started.
The church, yeah.
Church, Freedom House, Pastor Randy and Nichelle. Love them.
Yeah.
But, I'm just still serving God, doing my thing with him, and not looking back, not perfect, make some mistakes. But I've been faithful. I'm afraid of God. I fear God, and I'm afraid to go back.
Right.
Because there's no way, and that's one thing, I hear, certain testimonies where they've gone back, and stuff, and I'm not knocking them or anything, but man, Lord, I can't do that. I don't see me doing that. I pray to God that I don't go back. I mean, because to me, that was hell in itself. But to think that it can get worse, to go back, that scares me. It terrifies me, just staying faithful to God.
And your relationship with your children.
Oh, God just restored our relationship. He's continuing. My son, it took a few years for him to call me mom. And I thought, once I got saved, that's it. Everything's going to change. No, I hurt these kids. I hurt them. And they're still healing from it. We're still healing from it. There's stories that still come up, different things that they went through at that time. And, I'm like, oh my God.
How hard is it for you to hear those stories?
Oh.
I know for a lot of parents don't want to face those realities, right? Of mistakes as parents that we make, right? You don't want to hear your kids telling it, but you have some things that you probably don't want to relive, or you probably don't even know that you've done them because you were on drugs.
Yeah, no.
But the healing of just being a mother that says, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
That takes a lot of guts and a lot.
Yeah.
It's painful, right?
Oh, very painful. Like I said, things still come up. But it's a healing process for both of us. Whatever child it is that, wow, this took place then. I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh my God, I remember. Now that my mind's cleared. And it hurts. I take that. I take it to God. I give it to God. I pray, like, Lord, heal them, heal me. This is a healing process. And now my kids call me, Mom, pray for me. Mom, this, I'm going through this. So for my son Eddie, because he called me Sil for a long time, and I thought by me serving God was going to stop. Right away. No, it didn't.
Hurt was still there.
His hurt was still there. And it took a few years. I want to say maybe the last 2 years. Maybe the last 2 years. Mom. Just.
Wow.
Now he don't call me Sil. He just Mom.
Because, Eddie's probably the oldest.
Yeah.
He's probably seen you.
Oh, yeah.
Good and bad.
He's seen a lot.
Try,
Yeah.
fail. He wasn't going to get his hopes up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because Mom, she done this before.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
Especially being the oldest.
Yeah. And that was his thing. It's just a matter of time. She's going to go back. So he had to wait and see, but he really saw the hand of God move. He saw, the woman of God. He sees the woman of God now on who I am.
Wow. And
he respects that. He loves that. My daughter, we have conversations and I tell her, why did you love me so much then? I want to know that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying Eddie didn't love me. He was hurt. But why did you love me like that? Because that hurt me more. When I had birthdays, celebrations, she would call me over, give me a ring for my birthday. I don't deserve this. And she goes, you know why? Because the word of God said to honor you.
Wow.
And I honored you. Because that's what God said to do. God didn't tell me to honor you when you were doing good. To honor you if you had your life together. God's word said to honor you. And I honored you, Mom. That's
Wow.
what got me through it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she tells me that, and I'm just like, wow, thank you, God. Because she did. She's the only one. I mean, like I said, the other ones were too little, but she's the only one that would love on me, you know? And God, oh my God. It's just amazing. I get amazed even now, and just to see, you know, we're continuing. I'm pushing forward. I'm moving forward.
Right.
Faithful to God, no matter what. You know, He's everything to me. You know, and people may wonder, why do you love God so much? Why? This is why. If you only knew, it's more than just the so many years on meth. It goes far beyond that. The hurts, the loneliness, you know, the friendship. Now I have Him all in one. You know, I don't need the world. I ran to the world for everything. I don't need it. I don't want it. You know, and I'm just excited. I'm blessed, thankful.
What a great story of overcoming.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I've known you since we were teenagers, and seeing the ups and downs in your life. And I mean, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You know, I'm proud of that you overcame.
Yeah.
That's a lot to overcome.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, most people probably would have gave up. Most people would have probably lost their mind. Most people would have tried to attempt suicide once again. Most people would be on the street.
Yeah.
But to see you push forward and with the strength and help of God and the support of your kids, which still love you. Yeah. I mean, we were, before we got started, one year I heard you talking to your son about it. He got a new job.
Yeah.
Right? So he calls you.
Yeah.
He's proud. I mean, you only call your mother when you're proud of something, you want to let them know. Yeah. And there was a relationship there, and he was excited to call you.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great testimony.
Yeah. Thank God.
Thank God.
It's all God.
Yeah. And you're still pushing forward.
I am. Yeah. Faithful.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Hey, Sil, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm glad to be your friend.
Yes.
You've been a good home girl
to
my wife.
Love her.
You were the first female on the show. And I'm not going to lie, I almost shed a tear right now. Had to be tough.
Praise God.
This is the street gospel.
Yeah.
Street. All right, before we end, Sil, anything out there you want to tell women, maybe even men struggling with addiction, family issues, anything?
The only way they can make it and do it is surrendering to God wholeheartedly for change. You know, you got to repent and surrender, but for change, because sometimes we can, and I've done it, go to the altar, but if you want change and you want to see change, you need to surrender your heart and allow God in. Allow Him to lead you. Allow Him to guide you. Don't compromise with the world, because it's not going to happen, because you will be struggling. And know your value and your worth. Know who you are and whose you are. And when you know that and realize that,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Anything else doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who points their, no, doesn't matter who says what. It's just know who you are and the authority you walk in to make it.
Good one, Sil. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm honored, blessed.
I don't know about honored, but, you know, blessed, okay. You know,
to be here.
But it's the street gospel, you know? Okay, so we like to have fun at the end here.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay? Me and Cam have a little thing right here. It's called the Furious 5. And we ask you 5 questions, short answers, okay?
Oh, my God. Okay.
If you can do, number 1, if you can do one thing over again, what would you do? One thing in your life.
Raise my kids.
Raise your kids.
Yes.
Good one. Number 2, who do you admire the most?
My Lord.
Your Lord. That's
Yeah,
it.
That's it. Yeah.
You from the neighborhood?
Lived in the neighborhood. Yes.
Favorite oldie?
Oh.
Boom.
Barbara Mason. Oh my gosh, there's so many. You Don't Love Me at All.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're taking it back with the Barbara Mason. All right. What person has made the biggest impact on your life?
My mother.
Your mother.
Yes.
Good woman.
Yes. Prayer warrior.
Prayed for you all those years.
All them years.
All right. This is one your homegirl, Melissa, threw in right here. What was your tagging name? Because she said you were repping hard. She said for NTQ, which where we lived, that was Notorious Queens.
No, that's Cindy.
Oh, that was Cindy.
Yeah.
So you didn't tag.
No.
You didn't rep hard.
No.
That's what she said.
No.
Oh,
That's Cindy.
that was all Cindy.
Yeah.
That was the other twin.
Yes.
Well, I think it was number 5 then out the door. Man, thanks, Melissa. Okay.
So much of my homegirl.
I know. What kind of homegirl is that, man?
Oh my God.
Messing up the whole podcast right now. Man, I don't know about that homegirl, man.
What name did she say I tagged?
I don't know. I just said to ask you about the tagging days.
Yeah,
so,
all
right. Anyways, this is going to conclude this podcast number. What is it, Cam?
19.
19. And well, thank you, Sylvia. I appreciate that.
Sorry, Cam.
All right. Hey, we appreciate you coming out, Sil.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the podcast today. We appreciate it. This is episode number 19 with Sylvia Avila. If you liked it, if you loved it, make sure you share it. Send it to your friends. Send it to your family. Send it to anybody that's struggling with maybe an addiction, or maybe they lost their family and they think they can never regain their family back. There's always time to make it right. You know, there's never lost time. All right, so that'll conclude this podcast. Check us out for podcast 20. 20, Cam. We're going to bust out podcast number 20, and we're going to talk to the whole family, everybody, and we're going to kind of give everybody a little background of how we got this podcast going, how we maintain the podcast. So check it out. Anyways, we out.